Hello, I am Matthew Monfore from Oral, South Dakota, Fall River County, Hot Springs area. I am 29 years old. Greetings to Chair Duhamel and the Committee for Senate Judiciary. I testify in support of HB 1257, an act to require age verification by websites containing material harmful to minors. As someone personally affected by pornography and someone who has spoken to hundreds, if not thousands, of young people and old alike, including as an ordained Christian preacher, I can testify firsthand to the horror and devastation of online pornography. I'm making this video testimony today as I had a family member in need of assistance for medical reasons, and I am not sure if I will be able to make it in person. I cannot imagine a more important bill before you today, as there are untold millions, if not billions, of people affected by pornography. As it is estimated that 5.3 billion people, including 65% of the world's population, are, quote, internet users, and that pornography, whether viewed by accident or on purpose, most likely has affected most, if not all of them. And let's face it, pornography is a nice term. Included in pornography are literal child pornography, literal rape, violent sexual practices, orgies, acted out role-playing of every depravity imaginable, all at the click of a button. No safeguards. These are being used for masturbation and ruining minds, brains, hearts, and sexual organs. I submitted to you and asked that it be in the record the list of titles of porn videos that automatically played from just one porn site that could be accessed with no deterrent. This was presented in the Louisiana Legislature as well by Representative Lori Schlegel. According to one site, around 97% of Americans have a smartphone. As a representative in Louisiana called it, a personal porn device. And Pew Research Center stated that 95% of teens from ages 13 to 17 have access to a smartphone. If I were to play for you on your committee TV, the videos, photos, etc. accessible to you, I doubt you would allow it. But yet children have mostly unfettered access to these today. My generation has been affected like none other. This isn't merely Judy Blume books talking about sexual matters or a Playboy found in your parents' closet. These are hardcore videos that are aggressive and violent, affecting men and women. Before I get into the nuts and bolts, how has pornography affected me? I look clean from the outside and have lived an upright and God-fearing life, but I don't want to forget where I have come from. Take in mind, we live in a different world than 20 years ago. I was born in 1994 before the, quote, porn boom. Facebook became available to the public in 2006. The first iPhone, smartphone, and, quote, iPod Touch, which is more or less an iPhone with Wi-Fi and not the ability to call, came out in 2007. The first iPad came out in 2010. And South Dakota adopted school laptops in 2006. Laptops with Wi-Fi were entering schools and they were becoming more affordable, becoming the status quo. I doubt whether or not you can be a productive member of society in a large measure without a computer device today. I remember the first time I saw pornography. I was around the 5th grade. I went downstairs to our, quote, computer room, the big tube desktop. Yeah, you remember those, I'm sure. There was an image of a naked girl on the screen. I don't believe anyone in my family put that there on purpose, as it seemed to be one of the annoying, quote, pop-ups. But there I was, an innocent child exposed to this. Fast forward to a little later. I am at a relative's home and my cousin, a little younger but about the same age as me, talks to me about accessing porn on the iPod Touch, which was an iPhone without cell service, as I mentioned. He was from a larger school in town than I was, here in South Dakota. I would come to learn this was common. I would continue to hear more talk of porn in locker rooms, schools, among athletic coaches, or similar ideas or concepts. I even had teammates thrust or offer pornography on their screens to me at a team hotel or at a game. Pornography was seen as a badge of manhood, and that is what I think is best determining it these days. It's basically become the rite of passage that if you're not watching pornography or sexually active, that there's something wrong with you. I do not doubt that the majority, if not all of my classmates at school, at a public school, particularly in Pierre, South Dakota, had viewed pornography, especially men. Thinking pornography would make me more manly, I viewed this pornography because the feeling I got by acting on it, on the way that viewing it made my body feel, and the sensory overload provided. In high school, this affected how I viewed women. Despite to this day being a virgin and sexually pure in that regard, this affected my sexual organs negatively. Now, being free from pornography through accurate information based and including adherence to rational and Christian principles, I am pornography free. But it took years for the effects of pornography use to heal. Now, being involved in evangelism and counseling, I can tell you that the only exceptions to porn use I come across for youths are homeschooled children whose parents guarded and instructed them in protecting them from pornography. I've listened to hours of testimony on similar bills, including the original state this was proposed in, Louisiana, by Laurie Schlegel, a licensed sex addiction therapist who's also a representative and the main sponsor of that bill. She is located in the New Orleans area. I also listened to testimony in Virginia, Texas, and Utah. I also listened to the oral arguments of the Texas AG's office, John Ramsey's winning arguments in the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. This bill would amend South Dakota's Criminal Code, Title 22, Chapter 24, Section 27, protecting minors from harmful material and pornography, and demand, quote, reasonable age verification for access to a porn site. It would allow civil action, damages, demands verifying that personally identifying information is not stored, and allows for the Attorney General to investigate and initiate civil action. Litigation, as a result of bills passing, has been successful in Texas, Louisiana, and Utah in regards to upholding this similar law in those states. These bills are supported bipartisanly, is what I've noticed in these legislatures, even unanimously in chambers with rare exceptions, in states like Texas, Louisiana, Utah, where there are dozens of Democrats and Republican majorities. As a side note, I will say the testimonies I observed are much more accommodating, open, and the arguments discussions far more robust than what I have seen in South Dakota legislative committees. Supreme Court precedents and argument that are brought to bear include Ginsburg v. New York, 1968, regarding selling harmful material, including pornography magazines, to someone under 17. The U.S. Attorney General Reno v. ACLU in 1997 regarding the 1996 Communications Decency Act, and Ashcroft v. Free Speech Coalition 2002 regarding the Child Pornography Act of 1996. Of important note is the difference of technology at those times compared to today. We now have social media that is widespread. Smartphones, laptops are widespread among under 18 individuals, whereas at the time of those, Ginsburg 1968, AG Reno 1997, and Ashcroft in 2002, we're going from a brick cell phone to the first flip or camera phones versus the status quo today, which is important, as my understanding in these cases. What is the status quo? At play are constitutional issues and other principles, including First Amendment speech and strict scrutiny. Broad and vague language versus this bill, particular bill, and other bills like it that are narrowly tailored. Obscenity and indecency laws, compelling interest for the state at protecting minors under 18, interstate commerce clause, burden on adults and protected speech, pervasiveness, and access. At play in the Supreme Court cases, ideas arise. Technology available at the time, whereas at one time there was maybe one computer in a family family's home and a computer den versus most Americans having a smartphone or a personal computer or a tablet. Also at play is pervasiveness. And the question did arise over filters and the least intrusive means or to apply pressure to what's called speech. And that was filters at the time. So there's a study out that in regards to what the status quo is, and that is that internet filters are widely available, but the Oxford Internet Institute, including Dr. Nash, stated that internet filtering and adolescent exposure to online sexual material was not effective. Technologically, age verification is used today for buying alcohol online or gambling online. Age verification is not burdensome to adults and can be done in a minute or a few minutes at most. There's a presentation by the representatives from the age verification company, Louisiana Wallet, called LA Wallet, testifying before the Louisiana Legislature that you can watch online, and I have a link provided in my written testimony. Also in that testimony is what I've seen as the most in-depth discussion on the bill as it was initially brought forth and originated with that the good representative there. And that is Representative Laurie Schlegel's committee testimony from 2022 on Louisiana HB 142. She's the quote mother of that, and I've talked a little bit about her as well. I don't think that too many here will disagree with the harms of pornography to the brain, although I know that people are trying to debate this, or its harms on society. Helpful resources would include experts Dr. Valerie Voon, PhD, Cambridge, with leading studies in 2013 and 2016. 2013 including neural correlates of sexual cue reactivity in individuals with and without compulsive sexual behaviors. And 2016, compulsive sexual behavior, prefrontal and limbic volume and interactions. And I did provide the links in my written testimony. There's also a website called fightthenewdrug.org. Lots of valuable information. You have Dr. Don Hilton, Dr. Simone Kuhn, Dr. William Struthers at Wheaton, and the documentary Brain Heart World that can be watched for free online, brainheartworld.org. There's also a UK documentary called Porn on the Brain. You can watch that on YouTube. I provide a link in my written testimony. There's also a book written called Your Brain on Porn, and there's an additional website called yourbrainonporn.com. I also have a link to Dr. Lawrence Tucker's video and the endsexualexploitation.org comparing a heroin addict's brain to a person that's used pornography using some kind of digital replication. Currently, the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, as of a press release on February 26, 2024, is suing ALO Global, or ILO, however you pronounce it, the parent company of Pornhub, for an injunction of age verification and for requiring them to do that, and for potentially millions of dollars in civil penalties. And that can be found at the Texas AttorneyGeneral.gov. What pornography is doing to the brain in regards to the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, etc., is of special note. Also, the cause of erectile dysfunction in people that are using pornography, that's feeding of human trafficking, sexual violence, distortion of the family and marriage, and the building blocks of society are absolutely reprehensible. It is time to protect our children, and I urge you to pass this bill. And thank you for listening to me, and I just pray that our state would have the grace to do the right thing. And for those of you listening to my testimony, senators on the committee, please, I beg you, we can save generations from this nightmare. And it's affecting men and women across all parties and all races. So thank you for your time.